Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. I've hit phase 26, the life process, the longest process you've ever seen. So, Arsenal, it could be worse. It could be worse. You could have, well, actually, I say 26-year process. You're kind of on a 20-year process at the moment. 20 phases of having not won a Premier League title, but you know, the less said, the better. But anyways, we're back. We're back, and it is officially birthday season for the Fuzz. So yeah, hit 26 today, and got the big show tonight. A bit more of a birthday celebration on there, but thought I'd do a little bit of a show this afternoon, just to sort of address the concerns with Manchester United's summer transfer window, because I think it's very easy for a lot of us as top Reds or top Devils, whatever you want to call us Man United mutants. Essentially, we've been lapping up all the positivity. We've been just enjoying everything, saying, "Oh, life as a United fan's just wonderful at the moment. Like nothing could possibly go wrong. This train ain't getting derailed today." Listen, listen. I think the reality of the situation, where we need to inject a bit of real into it here, the realism serum or the copium. For me, we've got to look at the facts. Manchester United, as we know, won't fix itself overnight. Won't fix itself overnight. It's going to be a process, quite literally going to have to be a process in order to fix the club. One of the biggest issues with trying to fix things overnight, trying to, not able to, but trying to nonetheless, is around players and selling them and getting them out the club and undoing the horrendously bad negotiations that have been prevalent at the club for the past decade. Like, genuinely across the past decade, the poor transfer strategies that we've imposed in summers gone by, even as far back as as soon as last summer. With the introductions of one Rasmus Højlund for ridiculous money. Of course, the Greenwood loan deal, that's had a bad, a bit of a wacky revelation where it's literally Murto Madness is trying to bury Manchester United from beyond the grave. So that ain't great. That ain't great. So we're sort of getting some negatives sort of streaming along, and I think some fans will be feeling a little bit down about it and will be saying, "Oh dear, it never leaves us alone, does it? Mediocrity never goes away." But this is bound to happen. I believe this is bound to happen. I think we'll probably be having shades of mediocrity for the best part of a couple of years. We'll probably see the worst of previous regimes over the next couple of years, whether it be in the form of on pitch performances or results. Maybe another 7-0 somewhere along the lines. Who knows? That could happen. That could realistically happen. But also some you know tough pill to swallow decisions off the pitch as well. And one of which is that we may possibly go into next season holding on to a few players that we were desperate, absolutely downright desperate to get rid of this summer. And I'll give you a couple of names that probably will end up staying simply because there is no chance of generating enough appeal to signing these players. Casemiro as everybody who's not lived under a rock would know, last season, well, the season prior was brilliant, fantastic, worth every penny of the signing. Last season, worth none of the pennies. Absolutely fell off. You'd need a Netflix documentary, an Amazon documentary to really study just how cataclysmic this turnaround for Casemiro was, and how bad he ended up becoming from a performance sense. Funnily enough, statistically, he's still one of the better performing midfielders in Europe, which literally makes no sense how that's possible, because he's failed every single eye test in the book, including this pre-season. Really, really lunky and just not there. Really just not checked in. So I think, again, another player that we need to sell, that we need to get rid of. Of course, Ineos want to get rid of the crazy wages. They've done well so far with the signings that they've made in allocating fair wages for the two players we have acquired. But overall, I think just players players we need paid, representative to what their performances or levels are for the club. So we're not paying stupid money. We don't have stupid contracts at the club. Things like this, we'll get some of that work done. We've still got the whole month of August as part of the transfer window. I still think there is business to be done that may not be done until August, sort of mid to late August time. So some of the transfers will have to be a bit more patient on, especially on the outgoing side of things. I mean, Jadon Sancho, I know he's linked at the moment with a PSG because, for a profile of player, what PSG were looking for, Sancho does tick a lot of their boxes, but, maybe whether they will choose to streamline that deal ASAP, or whether they'll choose to take a bit more time to assess other options. Maybe if Sancho goes on the preseason tour, completes the tour, then comes back, then gets sold. I mean, that's the sort of elements of patience we'll probably have to have. So, watch this space, I'd say, with things like that, and probably, depending on who it is, maybe you might need to be just take a little bit easy, take a little bit of a breather. But Casemiro, bit of a struggle, really, really big struggle, because with astronomical wages, if you are opting to take a pay cut, the pay cuts are not that big. They're not that big at all. Probably a couple, 10 grand or something like that at most. I mean, he's not young. He's not young, so I think the transfer market value, despite being relatively cheap, he's not got enough of an appeal that makes it worth signing him and having him on astronomical wages. Even if he drops his wages to about 250k a week, even then, that you're struggling. You're really, really struggling. There's not enough leagues out there that Casemiro has enough of an appeal to. Saudi Arabia was Casemiro's best bet, or was United's best bet to getting Casemiro off the books. So, yeah. And the fact that interest in that front has cooled down, that does spell some trouble. Really, really does spell some trouble for Manchester United, because of Casemiro, if he stays, that's financial. That would generically be a financial hindrance to Manchester United's, overall payments this season, but also taking up an extra slot in the squad is going to be quite a tall demand to play. And he's not really that reliable. So, we've got all sorts of problems with Casemiro staying for another season. And, it's not looking that likely unless Saudi do decide, what, we'll come back in for him. We'll start talking to him and figuring something out for him. So, we're all sort of having to sit here and hope with that. We're held up on the transfer front for midfielders because we want to sell somebody first before getting a replacement. We're hearing that Scott McTominay initially wasn't for sale, but as long as a good offer comes in, United would listen. That's what they said at the start of the window. Every player would be sold for the right price, but for the right price, that's a lot of players for a lot of fees that people just don't want to pay, that people just don't want or have the money to do. And not just that, but also pay wages. Nobody wants to pay wages anymore. And, that's judging by transfer strategies by a lot of clubs this summer. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really difficult. Another midfielder that has been touted to be sold, that I think is going to be a real big struggle to get the appeal for him, Christian Eriksen. How old is he? About 31, 32? About 32 years of age. So he's on, I think he's about 140, 150k a week, which is a lot. It's a lot for a 32-year-old that's essentially a squad filler. If we had a Fofana in the team, you're probably looking at wages somewhere around under, like, sub 100k. And for a player, for just a hypothetical or an example, for somebody that is a progressive number 8 and is tidy on the ball, that would financially be ideal. But the problem would be with that is you'd need to get Eriksen off the books first. Who would buy Eriksen? Because he's not a big enough or really a significant enough name, at least in my feelings. He's not a significant enough name for Saudi Arabia to say he would be fantastic playing in our league. Maybe they have a different lookout and a different outlook on it. Maybe they decide, well, actually, there's fairly good reason to signing this player. But I mean, maybe best bet would actually be the MLS. Offering to a club like Inter Miami or something, or LA Galaxy or LAFC. Offer him to an MLS club. I mean, it's either MLS, Saudi Arabia, anybody else. I don't think there's really any other leagues out there that would, seriously consider Christian Eriksen. I don't think a move back out to Serie A would, pique the interest or curiosity of any Serie A clubs. I think the league's a bit too technical, a bit too fast in La Liga. I think Ligue 1, no one would pay his wages, full stop. Bundesliga, probably a little bit too pacey of a league, too sort of end to end. And then there's nobody else really. I mean, Premier League, I think all the clubs in the Prem, you wouldn't want to pay those sort of wages, but better yet, there's probably better alternatives on the market. Better age, worth the investment, easier to sell on, and that's probably what a lot of clubs, especially lower down in the tables, think about when they take a player like an Eriksen. They want to think about, well, we signed this guy, how good is the sell-on value when he leaves us, which won't be it won't be a very long time before he does after signing him. How much are we getting back from this? What's the return in this? It's not significant enough for them to look at this and say, yeah, well, that'd be worth signing. Whereas the MLS or Saudi Arabia, probably more so MLS, I'd see this happening. He goes to a club over there, and I think there'll be a lot of people that would be on board with that. So maybe the MLS might be the best place to send Eriksen off to. But outside of that, I don't really think there's going to be a huge string of clubs lined up to sign the player. Big ups to the Goat Saves Football. Big up Alphas 44 in the chat. Big ups to you. Thank you for joining. Good to see you as always. In terms of other news as well, just a quick one. Rasmus Højlund getting the number 9 shirt for next season. I mean, talk about profile of player or the significance of player wearing the number 9 shirt. I mean, Jesus. The quality has diminished, considerably diminished, from players that we used to have wearing the number 9 shirt. I mean, Jesus Christ, even Berbatov, Ibrahimovic. I think, was it Andy Cole? Was our number 9 or was he number 11? It was either Andy Cole or Dwight York that previous year worn the number 9. But yeah, man. Just to be replaced by Rasmus Højlund, I mean, sheesh. Even Martial number 9 was, more impactful, more influential than Rasmus Højlund number 9. I'm not that excited. Not that excited at all. We have got the release of the tour squad though for Manchester United. So we'll go through this and I'll give my verdicts on it. Might be a few interesting names here or there, but mate, it is not a great squad by any means. So our goalkeepers got Tom Heaton, Dermot Mee, Andre Onana and Radek Vitek. So 4 goalkeepers going out. No sign of Bayindir. No sign of Bayindir at all. I'm pretty sure he's still at the club, but I don't know if that's fitness issue or maybe there's something else going on there. He might actually. Is Turkey competing in the Olympics? Don't think so. Never mind. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Altay Bayindir. I've not heard anything on him. I think initially it was linked with an exit to the club, but since then, nothing. The defenders. Only taking 9 defenders out to America. Harry Amas, Rhys Bennett, Johnny Evans, Will Fish, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Sam Murray, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Lenny Yoro. So straight away, only probably 2 fullbacks, two fit fullbacks or 3 fit fullbacks. Yeah, not great. I think Dalot will still be serving holiday time. Malacia is still undergoing his rehabilitation at the club at Carrington. So he's trying to come back to fitness. Luke Shaw is on holidays as well. And maybe in terms of a roster, if Wan-Bissaka's heading out the door, then maybe I think Ten Hag would prefer, in terms of incomings, I think he most favours the appeal of signing, I think, Nasri Mazraoui. So yeah, I think that's probably the most likeliest option to happen. I think the fact that it's offered up as a cheaper deal to do with Bayern, an easier deal to do, especially the easiest, most likeliest deal we'll end up doing with Bayern after bloody press release saying that the De Ligt deal is basically ended. Like we've essentially hit the no deal with that. Now, whether they continue to prolong interest, we're in a similar situation with the midfield acquisition of Manuel Ugarte. Apparently, PSG want a increase. They want an increase, not just with transfer value, but from the amount they bought him for, about 60 million euros. They want him for 70. They want to sell him for 70. And Manchester United have said, no, absolutely not. To be absolutely, if I were to give my verdict as to my alternative plot or my alternative plan to this, I think Ugarte is probably the only midfield deal that you can do with payment installments rather than like bulk payments. But I feel like we could get a better value for money by signing Zubimendi with the £50 million release clause, bulk payment, massive acquisition for the number 6 position, massive acquisition. We're talking the same role that Rodri plays for City, exactly the same. And Fofana as well, with a cheaper option on the side as your bonus signing. Amrabat is waiting in the wings as well. We've opted not to pay the 20 million clause to buy him on the permanent. We'll probably try and sort something out cheaper if we do decide to focus on Amrabat being the alternative player to come in. Midfielders in the United squad. Casemiro, probably just in the sake of putting him in the shop window, or trying to at the very least. Toby Collier, player to look out for. Do like what he's done so far. Christian Eriksen, again, shop window player. Hannibal, somebody who's really like that player's got issues, man. Hannibal's got problems, big problems, and he's sort of peaked very early and is currently in a spiral. Genuinely in a spiral. Everywhere he's been on loan, they've sent him back and said, this guy's just, he's not there. He's not good enough. And it's not in the sense that his ability is the problem either. It's the fact that he's not mentally applying himself to the role at the club, right? Like, get on a football pitch and push your limits by all means, but to fill the roles that your manager wants you to fill without any problems, then that seems to be an issue at the moment with Hannibal. Jack Fletcher, Sam Mather, somebody who's just signed a contract extension as well. Scott McTominay, Mason Mount, Max Oyedele. I'm pretty sure. And then James Scanlon. So, yeah, very wafer thin and weak midfield, I must say. The forwards are a lot better, though. Literally, there's just one player that's academy related there, which we've got Ahmad, Anthony, Rasmus Højlund, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and then Ethan Wheatley. Which, again, more eyes on Wheatley, probably not starting, but second half substitution with like the second string teams, probably the most likely outcome with that. But looking forward to seeing more of Ahmad. No sign of Hugo. He did score the second goal in our game against Rangers. Hugo's not travelling because I believe he is sorting out a loan deal to League One side Wigan, which this has been spoken about as well recently. I'll just go through these comments quickly. Happy birthday to Fuzz. Happy birthday to Fuzzy. Happy birthday, you prick. Happy birthday to... Well, that's a different rendition of the song, but thank you. Just press the like button too. Wonderful. If everybody else could do the same, that would be fan-bloody-tastic. So big ups to everybody that does smash them likes up as well. Fuzzy, have you been to the gym? I mean, I am at a gym. You see this? Yeah. These are my weights. Yeah. That's the only thing I'm lifting. But yeah, mate, I'll tell you what. I bulked out a little bit with my muscle sizes, and I think it is probably how I do stuff at work, because being in retail, sometimes you are lifting a few hefty boxes, so there is just a little bit of heavy lifting at the job, as well as then a bit of cardio as well. So yeah, my gym's at my workplace, but I'm going to go back first day on Monday next week. Just going to be looking like a stick insect. It'll be so thin, I'll turn sideways and I'll disappear. Hopefully there isn't a gust of wind, because otherwise I'll end up in a different postcode. can't afford to do that. But yeah, basically that pre-season team, same situation really as Arsenal's team. No Joshua Zirkzee either. He's taking time off, which I think is right. He does need to take a bit of time off after Euros because players nowadays don't really get enough resting time between seasons nowadays. So, yeah, I think affording him some of that time off is probably justified. But at least, if you are a United supporter, you are seeing a new signing out there in the form of Len Yoro as he is travelling. So there is something there. Got Toby Collier, I think highly touted young midfielder. Second coming of Kobbie Mainoo already. You know, I'm not going to go that far because Kobbie Mainoo is generational, but even so. Similar story with Toby Collier. I'm interested to see what his role around the first team is going to be moving into next season. I'm very interested. I think there's minutes to be had for him. There is an increasing role in the team for him. So if I am Toby Collier, I'm thinking these next 3 games in pre-season, absolutely push to be a standout performer in and amongst the first team players and looking like I am just another piece in the machine. I think having that sort of an appeal to your manager is something that I think would tick a lot of boxes in Ten Hag's case. So, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of players there that a lot of players there I do think need to be sold. Victor Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Eriksen, Hannibal, McTominay, Casemiro. Personally, Mason Mount, I would seriously consider selling him, but apparently there was a rumor of selling Mount that got rubbished very quickly. Anthony, I was kind of hoping there was like some truth to that, and with truth to Anthony being either sold or loaned out for the season. But Jadon Sancho travelling, as what I suspected would mean that the deal for Sancho is probably going to mean that if PSG want him, they're going to have to wait until after the tour. So not a deal that will be done for at least 3 weeks, about 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah. But yeah, we're sort of in that situation now where there's some players that we want to sign, we can't sign until we make room or add some more funds to the budget via player sales. But the players we want to sell, we can't sell because of massive wages and old age, transfer value is not worth the investment, and there's a lot of hurdles here that that Ineos are faced with here, where I believe that this window does go from being a little tough to really tough, like really, really tough. And I see a lot of some United fans saying, "Oh, we're winning the window, winning the window." I'm not concerned about winning a window. I'm concerned about Manchester United winning in the business that they are doing. That's my forte. That's what I like to hear. That's what I hope to hear. But it doesn't look like we're set for any of that in very, very short notice. Although you never truly know with Ineos. They could just turn around next second. Hey, look, this deal's happening now. I mean, talks of Simmons offering the loan deal and sending that in to PSG and saying, well, Xavi, I know you're keen on the move to Bundesliga. 2 clubs fighting it out there, Bayern and RB Leipzig, both fighting out for Xavi Simmons. But Manchester United would like to offer you a loan opportunity in the Premier League. With some of your Dutch, fellow Dutch colleagues. Come to Manchester United. We have We have a role in mind for you. Maybe it would feature as a Fernandes rotationary player, possibly, because the only midfielders really we're sort of looking at the moment are players that will play next to Kobbie Mainoo or next to whoever the other actual DM player will be as like a number 8, but also looking for the number 6. So Kobbie Mainoo might start next to a number 6 if we, for instance, buy Zubimendi. If Zubimendi is starting in the number 6, Kobbie Mainoo could play next to him. And he could be a bit more progressive because Kobbie Mainoo carries the ball very, very well. And he's tidy with it. He is very tidy with it. So I think a ball carrier is, I think Kobbie Mainoo is a bit too young to, properly boss the number 6. He's capable of it, but he can't boss it. He's not really got all of the know-how to really master that position yet. But, that can come of, that I think usually comes with age. And I think with Zubimendi, somebody he's not known for heroics is Zubimendi, but just does all the basics and necessities really well, really clean, really tidy player. And it would be a fantastic addition to Manchester United squad. I69's the like button too. Well, thank you very much, Tripvik. Hopefully the like button enjoyed your lavish treatment. But we are progressing to be a much better team. I'm happy with the business. Also, Ineos are a nasty criminal corporation. Well, any business that earns billions every single year or generates billions, I mean, there ain't smoke without fire. So, corporation, conglomerates, same shit. I don't know how to say that second word. Autismo 100, let's go. But Manchester United are looking at left-sided defenders. Right. So what? I mean, we've got Yoro on the right side, but why left side? So Martinez plays left side. Shaw could play left side. I mean, I don't know. I would be looking at a centre back that could play both. I wouldn't be fussed about left or right. I'd be fussed about, is it good enough? Are they a good enough player? Maybe sign the player that's good enough. But that's where I'm at with that sort of acquisition side of things. All the big guns moving out to LA as well. I think Brailsford, Barada, Ashworth and Wilcox all travelling to LA to get used to working together to support Ten Hag and the staff. Other executives are remaining in Europe to negotiate transfers. So business will continue whilst we are on tour, which is, I suppose it's nice-ish, knowing that you haven't got someone like a Woodward, travelling out and then jetting home to sort out a transfer deal that fell through and never happened. So it's kind of wasted journey time, It feels like, there is a bit more of a professional operation. It's almost like there is a more professional operation at hand. So, man, we'll take that. We'll take that indeed. Steve McLaren staying to coach Euros Copper players on their return to Carrington. Mainoo, Shaw, Martinez, Garnacho, Fernandes, Dalot, Xerxia and Palestri, examples of those players as well. We need defenders, but we can hold on until next summer, in my opinion. Remind me, Tripvik, which club this is for. Is this Leeds? Was it Leeds or Spurs? Or I forget which club it is you support. I can't remember which one it was that you support. Um, but yeah, I think the Sancho stuff, having him included in the tour, I think definitely is just to sort of help get people more interested in signing the player, and I think it's probably the same tactic for all the other players. But I'm a bit more interested to see what the plan of action is with the deals for Agate and De Ligt, and what the plan is with those two signings, because Agate and De Ligt, both players want the moves to happen. Both players want to join the club. Both players have agreed the terms and given the green light to the transfers. They are happy to make the move. The clubs, on the other hand, will not budge on their asking prices. Now, United, to be fair to the selling clubs, first and foremost, um, to be fair to them, Manchester United have been lowballing a lot of offers all across the board. And I think it is very much a sort of, well, it's money we have, but we're not going to give you all of the money. Like, you might know that we have a lot of cash. And the thing is, I think some people might be asking or wondering, oh my God, we've not got any money left. Like, we've signed two players and we don't have any money left. I don't think that's the case. I genuinely don't think that Manchester United have got no money. I think from this summer's budgets, by the way, we've only really spent about £25 million. And if reports are believed to be true, that it was like 60 million before any player sales, the remaining budget's probably sat, after a couple of sales at the very least, it's probably sat somewhere about 50, between 50 and 60 again. So there's money to be spent there, but Ineos don't want to say, right, all right, then we'll pay what you want for the player, because they're thinking about, but what about everything else beyond that? Because I think if you decide just pay the money for the player to get the player for the sake of getting the player, means that the next player that you want is off the books. Can't sign him. Sacrifices all of those targets for getting this one across the line. And I think that's probably what Ineos are sort of holding back on, saying, well, you know, hold fire here for a second. Just hold your horses. How are we going to approach this? And I think negotiations is what they're hoping to achieve with these clubs, to minimize the spending as much as possible. And Ineos, I fully trust, are capable of doing that. I do believe the approaches that they are making is to try and appeal that Manchester United, well, we don't have a huge amount of money to spend on this player. We want to spend below this amount, and we want to start by testing the waters to see just what the resolve of the selling club is. Most instances, the first bids are always going to get rejected. But you sell the story to the selling club, well, that's the kind of money that we have allocated for this signing. We don't have anything more for you. Then sometimes a club, when they want to sell the player, will say, well, what's the highest offer that you can possibly go? Right? And we'll think about it. At most, we'll think about it. So I think with Manchester United, we're trying to minimize as much spend as possible, as humanely possible. And some people will think, well, penny pinching. Well, I just think you're treading on eggshells, and the board are treading on eggshells, thanks to the previous 10 years of horrendously bad negotiating. Like, we don't want to spend a lot of money on players that might not hit the ground running for Manchester United. They want to pay the fairest price they possibly can, without overspending on transfer budgets, without overspending on wages. I think the wage side of things, the club have probably got down to a T. I think they've mastered that for the most part. I think players that want to come are thinking about coming for the sake of the project rather than a payday. That's already a nice change. And that's a change that I think we can't just dismissed. We can't dismiss that. I think a lot of players that want to come to the club want to come for the opportunity, forget about getting massive wages. So I think again it's just trying to prolong the budgets we've got available for as much as we can, extend it and spread it as much as we can. Because if clubs gave us what we wanted, I think De Ligt would be signed, sealed, and delivered. He'd be a Manchester United player right now. And Ugarte, he'll probably be around the corner from being wrapped up. He'll probably be here we go stage. But the selling clubs don't want to budge. So we have to think, what's the plan B, what's plan C, and what's plan D? Because if we cannot get the compromise we want, then we will be screwed. We'll be screwed. If we decide to go, well, let's full send plan A, happy days. Great, so the budgets are fucked. And you can't do any business until the following summer, because God knows that you're going to sell the play. You couldn't sell players in the summer transfer window. God knows how you're selling players in January. God knows how you're selling players in January. Fuzzy, big ups to Oregon Goon. How we doing? Good to see you. Happy birthday, Fuzzy. Thank you very much, Oregon Gooner. I really appreciate the support. Feeling the love today. Feeling the love today. Fuzzy, it's good buying in these players, but it might affect your budget for the following season, that you might spend less. I think, right, that where we are with PSR, FFP, or the budgets we've got available for this summer, the spending has to be to an absolute minimum. If the spending in value per player is relatively low, the spend with the facts that we're generating less wages, smaller wages, and if we can sell a couple more of the high earners of the club, like if Casemiro goes this summer and Jadon Sancho goes before August 31st, that would be massive on the finance sheets next season, by the time we get to next summer. Because you think about how much money those two wages alone accumulate across a season-long period, and how much less that, how much more of a window you've got to operate. Straight away, PSR sort of will turn a blind eye to you. They'll say, well, yeah, they're fine. Ignore them. Man United, no problems there. And I think that's where I think Ineos are trying to angle us towards. And I think the more seasons, the more summers we go through, I think the better the spending is going to be. I genuinely think that the spending will be better. I think Ineos will be a little bit more relaxed on the negotiating side of things, but I still think that what we're seeing right now is always going to be the strategy in how the club behaves in the market. And I think because you do that for several summers, you build, you sort of build the front, you build the reputation that no club around Europe knows that they can take the piss out of you anymore. You are respected, and you did it with your own system. You did it with your own approach, with your own tactics, and with your own business plans. And the fact that nobody can take the piss out of Man United anymore means that if Man United are trying to sell a player, everybody knows, well, the player has to be worth it. He has to be worth it. And maybe the player would be worth it. We can take the chance on the player, and we don't have to pay stupid wages to cater. You know, the wages will be smaller. Very much less significance there. Troops, Pain Like Bane, how we doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hope all is good with you. My Mrs. Zoe said, "Happy birthday, Fuzzy Bear. Is there something I should know?" I don't know, Anthony. I'm just the most lovable person on the internet. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm just the most lovable. Just look at this face. People want to pet me. Like I can go to a zoo, right, and they see all of these cute fuzzy animals, right, and everyone's ignoring them. They're all looking at me. It's like, oh, look at this thing. Oh, you cute. I'm a bit of an animal, but still, I'm an attraction. I'm a national treasure. This national treasure wants to disappear off to Portugal, though. So yeah, the UK national treasure can screw itself. I'll be a Portuguese national treasure. Plus, I'll turn myself into one of them. What's it called? Is it Golden Globes? Pretty sure it's Golden Globes awards or something. You know, like the golden statues. Don't know if it's BAFTA. Is it BAFTA? I can't remember which one it is, but I'll turn myself into a golden statue with all the sun rays I'll be catching. That's the goal. That is absolutely the goal. 100%. But I'll tell you what, something that I do appreciate with this pre-season and with this summer, the schedule compared from last summer to this summer is night and day. Absolutely night and day. This summer, with the Community Shield included, we play 6 games before the season kicks off. 6 games. About a month and a half thereabouts. So 6 games in that time frame. Or actually it's about a month, but even still. 6 games in that sort of time frame compared, I think it was about 8 or 9 games we played last summer. And the window I thought was a bit shorter because we started pre-season in sort of July, sort of mid to late July time, and we squeezed so many games. It's like the fact that we had to split the squad to play certain games in certain locations, like playing Arsenal first team or Real Madrid first team. The academy team went to play Wrexham, and it's just like, what's the need for this? What is the need for this? Just the appeal. Yeah, show us all over the world. You know, I'm surprised we didn't send a squad of the under-16s out to Malaysia to go play like the best team of Malaysia, like in the same evening that we're playing another team in the States. But this summer, the scheduling has been so much less hectic, way less hectic. And I think it's really important as well that is the case, because I feel like the trend for bad injuries last season started with the introduction of this crazy preseason schedule. This season, the workload is lighter, significantly lighter, right? And I think that's seriously important. We play 3 games in the States, 1 charity game, and then the season started. That's not many games. And we've only played 2 before today. So I think this it's probably a schedule planned to negate out of the risk or likelihoods of attaining any bad injuries. And I think probably getting players properly warmed up for the season, so that when we get into the nitty-gritty, the schedule, they will fare a lot better in. I think there still needs to be a lot of work done to the medical department, but also work needing to be done on the squad depth, because we need to have quality that can play on the weekends, but then you've got enough quality to field another team in midweek. Because we've got to try and prolong, and this is the thing. We're seeing, I know people are getting more athletic, right? I get it, but the ideology that managers want thin squads, right? And this is what's crazy. Thin squad is the plan, is the design, yet more and more and more games. It's like in a business, in a corporate business, where they slimline the amount of staffing there is, but they increase the workload. But they keep doing that, and it's non-stop. Constant slimming, but harder and harder and harder work. And I think that's how modern football seems to be with a lot of these top teams. Manchester United, big problem with this. Arsenal, big problem with this. I think Liverpool, if they're not careful, can face this big problem next season. Chelsea is probably, in terms of squad size and how many players are actively in the matchday squads, probably one of the better off teams. That's with them having loads of injuries beforehand anyways. Manchester City, quality in the depth that they have. They don't have a lot of depth, but where there is the depth, there is quality. That's why they fare so well from weekend to midweek to weekend to midweek. That's how they can retain your performance and abilities. Whereas if you're an Arsenal or a United or a Liverpool, you're going to have to put the strongest team you've got midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, and hope that your key players in that picture frame, don't end up getting a multi-month long injury. But that's becoming a feat with the team. Question, Fuzzy, what's been your favourite signing so far this season and why? Favourite signing? Probably the most intriguing signing so far, I would probably say, is the Mbappe one. I think it's the obvious one for a lot of people, but I'm intrigued to know just what Mbappe's level is in the Madrid white. I'm genuinely curious to see just how high of a level he can achieve in his personal game when he plays for Real Madrid. I'll probably say that's my probably most significantly favoured signing. The bias favourite signing is Lenny Yoro, because of how I've described him as this perfect sandbox player. You can literally, he's at the stage in his career where the potential is completely untapped. You don't know just how good the player is going to be, because how good he is or how good he becomes is entirely down to you. And the ability, or the potential rather, to make him a world-class centre-back is there. The potential to do it. So that's probably the most interesting signing that I'm intrigued to know how Manchester United handle it. Do I think we'll turn him into a world-class player? Probably not. Most likely not. If he ends up getting his move to Real Madrid at the age of 22, 21, 22, maybe 23, do I think he could achieve a world-class status with them if he's at a good enough level up when he leaves Man United? I think absolutely. I think absolutely, 100%. Also, my favourite Arsenal signing is. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Happy birthday, Fuzzy, my buddy. Thank you very much, Trip. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Really, really appreciate it. It helps out the lower teams like Wrexham and money wise. I've been watching this Wrexham and getting into it. Yeah, I think with Wrexham, they've got something good going on there. I think they're League One, is it? Did Wrexham get to League One? So they're in. They play tomorrow at 3:30 a.m. local time. So yeah, they're in League One for next season. I'll be interested to see how they do. Because if they can do well to get themselves as far high up into the Championship, you know, I don't think I don't think if they, let's just say hypothetically, if they put themselves into the Championship, right, they won't go straight to Prem. They won't. Absolutely won't. But give or take 2-3 seasons doing everything right and ticking all the right boxes. I'm not trying to be funny, but Wrexham within the next 5 years could be a Premier League side. That's fucking mental, right? If they play all the cards right. If they play all the cards right. Because it's like with Ipswich, for example, you know, bottoming out in League One, right? Bottoming out in League One, McKenna takes over, salvage a season where they're in the lower half of the table, finish top end. Next season, promotion Championship. Next season, promotion Premier League. Championship is probably the hardest division out of all the divisions in the English footballing ladder to just skip straight through it without a problem, without a hitch, straight through it into Prem. Wrexham, judging that the quality of League One is probably about the same as them, if Wrexham just play really well and pick up all the results and get into the Championship, they'd have to improve that squad to compete with Championship squads. They haven't got the squad capabilities that Championship teams do. So I think they'd need to improve that base there before they can put together the team that, you know, qualifies for Premier League football. But it could happen. Fofana linked to Manchester United. Do you think he'll go? I look at this story and I think, as much as I'd like him, we're outsiders on this. I know they said, oh, we're officially in the race, we're officially in the race. We're doing that with a lot of players. A lot of players don't really mean that we'll sign them. Because if we were serious about signing the player, and maybe we are, maybe the plan is Manuel Ugarte is priority number one, but midfield priority number two, because the intent was to signing another midfielder, 2 midfielders, 2 centre backs. We signed 1 centre back, need to sign 1 midfielder before we move on to a second. Youssouf Fofana is an ideal choice of player because Ugarte is signed to be a number 6, even though he's probably, well, yeah, he is a more defensive work rate type DM as opposed to controlling the ball. I think he's just a bit more of a dog in midfield with Ugarte. You know, engine, work rate, Fred type player, but probably better technical ability than Fred. Probably more consistent than Fred. But yeah. I'd like the player. I do like the player. And the fact is that he's cheap. Feel really bad for AC Milan, to be fair, because if we end up getting a player, then that's two signings we've hijacked off as Zlatan Ibrahimovic and AC Milan in one summer. He'll come for vengeance. He will come for vengeance. Bastard Fuzzy, I've got the Arsenal signing bit. My favourite Arsenal signing is Wrexham staying in League One for a while. They might do. I think League One and League Two, in terms of division, like quality of teams, I think is still fairly similar. I think the Championship is probably where you have to make quite a big leap in squad quality, but also in depth as well. So yeah, I think Championship is probably the biggest challenge if Wrexham can get there. But I think if they can get through League Two, if they come up from the National League, right, with Notts County, duelling with them to then just sitting comfortably at the top of League Two whilst Notts County struggle. I mean, straight into League One. Yeah, I'd fancy Wrexham's chances to do well in League One this season. Though probably not likely for them to actually get promoted instantly. But again, as I've said, if they play the cards right, they could do it. I think the same Fuzzy, Wrexham in the Prem in 5 to 6 years. And if they do get up to Championship as well, then the whole Wrexham project thing, everybody's going to be on it. Everybody is. Literally, people like archaeologists, technologists, scientists, documentaries and stuff. But yeah, Disney will be all over it. And I think a lot of people, in terms of picking a team to really sort of, outside of your favourite Prem team, pick another team to support. I think most people will start, vibing with Wrexham. But yeah. Good afternoon. Happy birthday, Fuzzy. Thank you very much, Arsenal Manic. Good to see you. Hope everything is well with you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Hull City women are better than Wrexham. Oh, you know that's not true. You know that's not true. Like Wrexham versus the US national team's women, or US national women's team. I think beat them like nearly 10-0 or something. Like it was 8-0. What was it? Was it 8-0 that they did? US women. 12-0. Yeah. So yeah, basically, Hull City is my main team, and Manchester United is my second team. No, fair dues that. Fair dues. Bit of a conundrum when Hull City are playing Premier League. Then take it you have to support the Tigers instead of the Red Devils when they play each other. But if your beloved Hull City loses to Manchester United, you probably get the benefit of not really feeling all that sad about it. But yeah. To be fair, though, Hull City, I think I'd like to see Hull City get back up into Premier League football. I don't know what it is. I just I just enjoyed watching teams play at KC Stadium. I don't know if it's still called the KC Stadium, but intriguing little ground. That intriguing little place. Manchester United might be going lower down the pecking order. Well, I mean, you never know. You might find another team. You might find another team that takes your fancy. That scratches that itch just that little bit better. talks about former club looking to sign Christian Eriksen, probably a loan deal. Okay. Well, if he goes on loan, I mean, the thing is with Christian Eriksen, he's only got like 1 year left on his deal anyway. So essentially, you go out for a year-long loan, come back, but just be released by the club. Well, that's at least if we were to loan him out and still free up the wage budgets again, like what I've said with, cutting like overall less spend to like accumulates until you get to the following summer. If somebody else is paying most of Eriksen's wages, then that money accumulates and your transfer budget for the following summer is significantly better. So Ineos can make things better, but the soul of the club is long gone. I know the definitely with the Glazeronomics, I think has driven a lot of the passion for Manchester United and tolerance for Manchester United away, because a lot of fans probably feel like it's like it's a sleeping giant, and people that really like absolutely loved this club dearly don't really feel about Manchester United the way that they used to. But I also think that a second factor in that is football itself is not as enjoyable as it was before. It's like they were talking about on another show, on another stream, that Gareth Bale used to be considered world-class talent. Was Gareth Bale world-class? I thought he had the ability to be world-class. He had the assets in his locker. Absolutely. It's a shame that multiple things happened that screwed his passion for playing and flushed it down the drain, and then had to retire early. But it's like, if Gareth Bale was world class, right, and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, in terms of player ability or how good a player is performing on the eye test on the pitch, I think old days you used to be able to appreciate genuine talent for a player, but now everything's too systematic, like genuinely too systematic. I think with the way Manchester United are, they're probably looking to be the best, or trying to be the best systematic team. So if you fell in love with Manchester United for the football, that's probably not necessarily going to be, or if you're falling in love with Manchester United for the icons that represented the club throughout the years, then this Ineos project might not quite be for what you're looking for. But in terms from a success standpoint, I believe Ineos, whatever it is, bottom line is success first, right? And that's the aim. That's the aim of the project, which is for me my coup de grace with Ineos. Fuzzy, what are you doing tonight? Any plans? Well, at 8:30 tonight, it's a bit of a special, but The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Season 2, Episode 2, will be running on air, which I will be on there, streaming live from this channel, but also from Early Doors Football TV's channel as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That shall be going on. So that's how I'll be spending my evening. Probably a bit of maybe a takeaway tonight. I don't know. If they're feeling generous, then maybe we'll have a takeaway tonight. But let's see. Let's see how we get on. But yeah, But anyways, guys, I'll finish things up there. I did say it was going to be a shorter video, but never mind. Never mind. It's not the end of the world. You guys got to stay with me for longer. You get more content from me. But yeah, we'll see a couple more hours of me later on tonight. So what was it? 3.5 hours. What takeaway, Fuzzy? Probably a curry. Probably a curry. I don't think there's anywhere close by really that does Chinese takeaway. Boo. Was that on the takeaway or? "15 more minutes." Sorry. The fourth official only added on like a couple minutes. We've ignored the leg break on the pitch. We've ignored that. But yeah, I will have to wrap things up there. But yeah, big thank yous for everyone that has stopped by and wished me well on my birthday. Really do appreciate that. And big thank yous to everybody that's done that and also liked the stream. And please do, if you're watching on playback, continue the trends and also subscribe if you haven't done so already and all that good stuff. Remember, tonight 8:30 p.m. we'll be back with some more Good, the Bad and the Ugly show with myself, Early Doors Football TV, and Anthony Herbert. This guy right here. But yes, big thank yous to everybody for tuning in. Have fun sooner than later. Yeah. Hot Fuzz, hello. Hello, Jaminho. Bye-bye, Jaminho. I'll come in right at the very end. So hopefully you do watch on playback. If you don't, then sucks for me, but never mind. But yeah, big ups to Jaminho as well. Happy birthday, Fuzzy. Thank you very much, Jaminho. Appreciate the birthday wishes. I'm sure there's plenty more. I was supposed to have a delivery for one of my gifts today, but we missed out the code for delivery from Amazon. So they've said, oh, never mind. We'll take it away then. So yeah, my gift that was intended for my birthday today, I'm going to have to wait for it to be redelivered, which sucks, but never mind. It is what it is. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care, and we'll see you again later on tonight, 8:30 p.m. Don't miss it. Take care, people. Thanks for watching.